Hello students. Students, after having understood the power sharing concept, now we are moving towards the next chapter, that is federalism. We already had linked the base that when power is divided in different levels, we call it as federalism. Basically, the structure is known as federal structure. Students, giving you a little base that in our country we have three tier. Normally when we talk about federalism, when we talk about sharing powers at every level, it is normally for two tier, but India being huge country in terms of the geography, in terms of population, and most importantly in terms of diversity, we have introduced yet another level, that is the third tier level. The first is central government, the one that has maximum power. Then comes the state government. Each state government has their own set of powers, and few powers of state government are vested to the local government. In local government, it includes sub 3 divisions: the district level, the taluka level, and the village level. So federalism is the division of powers between central, state and local, and in local also further as district, taluka and village. So this is how the power is divided at every level in our country. Understood this? So this is the federal structure of India. Now you have a very important question, that is, what are the features of federalism? So before understanding the features, we have a definition that a system of government in which power is divided between central authority and various other units. So these are the various other units where the power is divided. So this entire structure is known as federalism. We have 6 features here. I have tried to make them very friendly to you people so that you can remember it well. This is frequently asked question and it holds a weightage of 3 marks. And if you produce it like this in your paper, giving definitions and writing features like this, it will be almost 1 page or maybe 3/4 the page and will suffice the quality and quantity both. So first, there are 2 or more levels of government. As you can see, 2 or more, right? So in any federalism, in any federal structure, there are 2 or more levels of government. Each tier has its own jurisdiction. So you see, here we have Supreme Court, here we have High Court, here we have District Court, Taluka Court, local courts. That is the village, the panchayat, right? So every level will have their own law system, jurisdiction. Of course, all people are governed by the same law, but then they have different people at their level. The authority of each tier is constitutionally guaranteed. So how much powerful and legal is central government? To that extent only it is village government. As in our constitution, power for each one is clearly specified and each level is equally important as another. It's not that because they are top people so they will have more powers or they are more important or these are less important. No. Our constitution guarantees the authority of each level to be equal. Provision of constitution cannot be unilaterally challenged. It's that in legislature, only central government cannot come up with changes in constitution. They alone cannot take decisions. Only state government too cannot take any decision. As in, nobody can unilaterally, alone nobody can take any decision. It's everybody coming together and taking decisions. So each level has equal importance. They matter, their value matters is what this point is trying to say. Each level has their sources of revenue specified to ensure financial autonomy. So that means this level has some sources of income, certain taxes. This level also has certain taxes. They also make some money. So who will charge what tax? Say for example, I am a teacher, I am a professional, and so I pay professional tax. So my professional tax I pay to the municipal corporation of my city. Then the revenue of my paying professional tax goes to the local government. Say suppose I am traveling to some state highway and I pay the tax on road, that is the toll tax. It goes to the treasury of my central government. And if I am traveling having some national highway and I'm paying the tax, that revenue goes in, or I'm paying income tax, which is a national body, it goes to central government. If I buy a new vehicle and I have to pay RTO tax, the revenue belongs to my local government. As in, every level has their source of income and it is specified. So as to ensure financial autonomy, if they will have money, they will be able to run smoothly. It's not every and then that these level have to depend on the amount that central government gives. So central government is like grandfather, the one who looks after every level. State government is like our father, the one who's always there besides us whenever needed. And these are children, us. So everybody has their own individuality, everybody is equally important. You see, in our family, even a kid is important. What the kid likes or wants to eat is also important, and everybody is looked after and taken care of equally, right? So same goes with our federal structure. And we have dual objectives. Why federalism like this? There are two objectives. First is to safeguard unity. India with a huge population, we need to make sure that everybody is united in terms of religion, in terms of gender, in terms of caste, in terms of inequality in financial aspect. We have to see that all are together, they are united, nobody goes against anybody. And most importantly, to accommodate diversity. You see, North India, South India, West India, East India, people with different culture, people following different lifestyle, having different celebrations. If we see the calendar of entire country, I don't think there would be hardly any day that is free from any event, from any festival, from any celebration, from some religious importance of one or the other part of the country. So the two objectives are to make sure that country is united. This is the best way to make sure, because what happens in my city, my PM cannot always make sure. What happens in the village nearby my city, even my state CM cannot make out. So a proper division is made to make sure that the hold of government is kind of very good. Okay, when we talk about hold, we have two types of federation. This federal structure could either be coming together or holding together. Here we have the example of USA and Australia. There all the states, they voluntarily have come together. So it's not some one body holding everything, making it compulsory. They are all voluntarily together. So such a federation, like you say the name USA, United States of America. So each state is united, each state is voluntarily together, and therefore we call that federation as coming together. And holding together means there is one central body, there is one central government who looks after and gives power to other states. So India, Spain, Belgium, these are the countries where central government has hold over state and local governments. So there is basically no difference between the two. It could be any of them. Ultimately it has to be a good federal structure, but a good federal structure is decided and depends upon many factors. So in our country, factors like population, diversity, it's better to have holding structure, and that's why we follow holding together. So this is the basic understanding about federal structure. These are the features, and there could be two types of federation which I have mentioned here. This is almost the heart of the chapter which you understood, and I hope it will help you in remembering your main question answers. See you in the next class, children. Bye bye.